نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ويوم يحشرهم جميعا ثم يقول للملائكة أهؤلاء إياكم كانوا يعبدون قالوا سبحانك أنت ولينا من دونهم بل كانوا يعبدون الجن أكثرهم بهم مؤمنون فاليوم لا يملك بعضكم لبعض نفعا ولا ضرا ونقول للذين ظلموا ذوقوا عذاب النار التي كنتم بها تكذبون وإذا تتلى عليهم آياتنا بينات قالوا ما هذا إلا رجل يريد أن يصدكم عما كان يعبد آباؤكم وقالوا ما هذا إلا إفك مفترى وقال الذين كفروا للحق لما جاءهم إن هذا إلا سحر مبين وما آتيناهم من كتب يدرسونها وما أرسلنا إليهم قبلك من نذير وكذب الذين من قبلهم وما بلغوا معشار ما آتيناهم فكذبوا رسلي فكيف كان نكير قل إنما أعظكم بواحدة أن تقوموا لله مثنى وفرادا ثم تتفكروا ما بصاحبكم من جنة إن هو إلا نذير لكم بين يدي عذاب شديد. Respectful honorable friends, in the verses that have been recited, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions to us with regards to the day of Qiyamah, a scene that will take place on the day of Qiyamah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes on to mention the mushrikeen of Makkah. In the opening verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that وَيَوْمَ يَحْشُرُهُمْ جَمِيعًا ثُمَّ يَقُولُ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ أَهَؤُلَاءِ إِيَّاكُمْ كَانُوا يَعْبُدُونَ. That the day when we shall gather them all, وَيَوْمَ يَحْشُرُهُمْ جَمِيعًا ثُمَّ يَقُولُ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ, Allah Ta'ala will say to the angels that أَهَؤُلَاءِ إِيَّاكُمْ كَانُوا يَعْبُدُونَ, are these the ones who used to worship you? قَالُوا سُبْحَانَكَ أَنْتَ وَلِيُّنَا مِن دُونِهِمْ. They, meaning the angels, will say that you are, Subhanak, you are pure. أَنْتَ وَلِيُّنَا مِن دُونِهِمْ, you are our protecting friends, مِن دُونِهِمْ, not them. بل كانوا يعبدون الجن. The fact is that they used to worship the jinn. أكثرهم بهم مؤمنون, most of them believing them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here on the day of Qiyamah will pose this question to the angels, but this is actually addressing the mushrikeen. Just the way Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam will also be addressed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Allah ta'ala will say to Isa alayhi salatu wasalam that is it you that instructed them to regard you to be the son of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it is obvious that Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam did not instruct them such. And neither did the angels instruct anybody to worship them. But it is as proof to them that look, those who you are worshipping, that ask them directly that is this what you have instructed them to do. So, as there are those who worship the angels as well. And the mushrikeen of Makkah who regarded the angels to be, na'uzubillah, the daughters of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just the way as the Yahud regarded Uzair to be the son of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Christians, Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, to be the son of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The mushrikeen regarded the angels to be the daughters of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will address the angels saying, وَيَوْمَ يَحْشُرُهُمْ جَمِيعًا ثُمَّ يَقُولُ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ أَهَؤُلَاءِ, are you the ones who instructed them? Are these the ones who used to worship you? قَالُوا سُبْحَانَكَ, they will say to Allah, you are pure, meaning you are pure to have any partners with you. And when you are pure, then it is unimaginable that we would instruct or we would be worshipped along with you. أَنْتَ وَلِيُّنَا مِن دُونِهِمْ, and that Allah, so you are our protecting friend, not them. بَلْ كَانُوا يَعْبُدُونَ الْجِنَّ أَكْثَرُهُم بِهِم مُؤْمِنُونَ. And the fact is that they never worshipped us, but in actual fact they used to worship the jinn. Meaning the shayateen who used to persuade them to worship angels or other deities. And أَكْثَرُهُم بِهِم مُؤْمِنُونَ, most of them believing in them, meaning the shayateen. And in what hadith Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions, that there were those who worshipped the shayateen, the jinn, and then the jinns brought iman. Then the jinns left them, but they still remained on shirk. I mean, they were worshipping the jinns. But there are those who did not even follow the jinns and come on to worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even the jinn that they used to worship, they got hidayat, they came onto iman. But they still remained in a state wherein they were worshipping idols and whatever else they used to worship. فَالْيَوْمَ لَا يَمْلِكُ بَعْضُكُمْ لِبَعْضٍ نَفْعًا وَلَا ضَرًّا. Allah Ta'ala says that فَالْيَوْمَ, today, meaning the day of Qiyamah, none shall be able to do good or harm to anyone. لَا يَمْلِكُ بَعْضُكُمْ لِبَعْضٍ نَفْعًا وَلَا ضَرًّا. وَنَقُولُ لِلَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا, and we will say to the oppressors, ذُوقُوا عَذَابَ النَّارِ الَّتِي كُنْتُمْ بِهَا تُكَذِّبُونَ, taste the punishment of the fire which you used to deny. That on the day of Qiyamah, it will be proved that none shall be able to do any good to anyone or harm anyone. So all the angels or all the deities that they had worshipped, they will be of no use to them or no avail to them on the day of Qiyamah. Because on the day of Qiyamah, never mind these idols or the jinns or shayateen or anybody, no family member or no single person will be able to benefit one another or be able to help or harm anybody at all. So on that day nobody can harm and neither can anybody naf'un wa la dharra be able to give any benefit to any person at all. And it will be said to those who, zalamu he refers to as the oppressors, meaning the disbelievers. And zalamu, what is zalamu? As is zulm in form of oppression that takes place. And the other zalamu is that of kufr, because a person who commits kufr, and similarly a person who does ma'asiyat, somebody who does shirk, all fall under the category of zalamu, because they have done wrong to themselves by committing kufr or shirk or ma'asiyat. And the meaning of zulm is وَضْعُ الشَّيْءِ فِي غَيْرِ مَحَلِّهِ, to misplace something, to put something where it should not be. This is what the meaning of zulm is. Meaning that where you treat somebody the way you should be treating them, so that is zulm. You put them in a condition that they're not supposed to be in, or you have put yourself in a condition. So you should not have been doing kufr, so you have done zulm upon yourself because you put yourself into the state of kufr, you put yourself into the state of shirk or ma'asiyat. So that's why Allah Ta'ala says, وَنَقُولُ لِلَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا ذُوقُوا عَذَابَ النَّارِ الَّتِي كُنْتُمْ بِهَا تُكَذِّبُونَ. Now taste the azab, the punishment of the fire which you used to deny, which you used to openly deny. Now it is there in front of you, now taste the punishment. Further, Allah says that their reaction would be that وَإِذَا تُتْلَى عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُنَا بَيِّنَاتٍ قَالُوا مَا هَذَا إِلَّا رَجُلٌ يُرِيدُ أَن يَصُدَّكُمْ عَمَّا كَانَ يَعْبُدُ آبَاؤُكُمْ that when was recited upon them ayatuna bayyinatin, our clear signs and our clear verses, qalu, they would say, ma hadha, that this is not but a man, yuridu, who intends an yusuddakum, to take you away, to prevent you amma kana ya'budu aba'ukum, from that which your aba, your ancestors worshipped. وَقَالُوا مَا هَذَا إِلَّا إِفْكٌ مُفْتَرًى, and say that this is not just a forged lie. وَقَالَ الْكَفْرُ الْحَقِّ لَمَّا جَاءُوا مِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا سِحْرٌ مُبِينٌ, and they also say, the kuffar says about the truth, that when it comes to them, that this is but obvious magic. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that when our clear ayat were recited to them, they would say that Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala sallam is but a man who yuridu, who wants to prevent you from worshipping your forefathers, from that which they worshipped. And they would also say that this Quran, the Quran is just a forged lie that is attributed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they say with regards to the truth of the Quran, that when it comes to them, that this is nothing but sihr, this is magic that Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam is doing. So this is the folly that they would be in. That when the Quran would be revealed to them or recited to them, then they would say in regards to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he's just a man who wants to do what, just prevent them and stop you from that which their forefathers. And this is what their enmity was with Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they would say that this is nothing but sihrun mubin. This is nothing but what? But it is open and obvious magic. But وَمَا أَتَيْنَاهُمْ مِنْ كُتُبٍ يَدْرُسُونَهَا وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا إِلَيْهِمْ قَبْلَكَ مِنْ نَذِيرٍ. Allah says that we never gave them وَمَا أَتَيْنَاهُمْ مِنْ كُتُبٍ, any scriptures يَدْرُسُونَهَا, that they could study. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا إِلَيْهِمْ قَبْلَكَ مِنْ نَذِيرٍ, nor did we send a warner to them before you. Meaning that it is strange that the mushrikeen of Makkah, how adamantly they refused to believe in Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wherein no other divine scripture was ever sent to them prior to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hence there was nothing that they had of the past or any other divine book that they could take in place of Islam, or that they could use as proof that Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala sallam in actual fact is a lie and Nabi sallallahu sallam is fraud. For instance, the Yahud of Makkah, of Medina, they knew Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala sallam's coming, and they knew the signs of Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala sallam. So they did not reject Nabi sallam. They could not reject him outwardly because the signs were there. It was already there. Indication of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam was already there. His characteristic was also mentioned in the Torah. But with regards to the mushrikeen of Makkah, no divine book had ever come to them. So when no divine book came to them, then on what basis do they so adamantly refuse to believe in Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam? That if there was a divine scripture, then you could understand that maybe Nabi Sallallahu description does not match the description may mentioned in there, or maybe there is no mention of the coming of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But they had nothing at all. So when this new scripture came to them, there was no need for them to not believe in Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Hence later on, when things came and when they started to understand, then it was the mushrikeen who came into the fold of Islam, and very few of the Yahud and Nasara who came into the fold of Islam. Because for them, they already had a scripture. And for them now to leave that scripture and to leave their Nabi was very awkward and difficult for them. That's why Hadith Nabi Kareem mentions that whoever from them brought Iman on their Kitab and Nabi and brought Iman on Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and their Kitab, they get what? They get double reward for them. They get double reward, because that is much harder. To change the book that they believed in the entire lives to a new book, the Nabi that they believed in, to continue believing in him and a new Nabi. So that is very hard and difficult. Whereas the mushrikeen, they had nothing at all. They had no Nabi that they would follow, and neither was there any divine book that was sent to them. So on that basis, there was no reason at all for them to reject and refuse to believe in Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala sallam. وَكَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ, And Allah Ta'ala says that those before them, and this is to give comfort to Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam as well, that look, the rejection of the mushrikeen of Makkah is nothing new. Why? Because وَكَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ, those before them also rejected the Anbiya alayhi salatu wassalam. Whereas their condition was, and they were such that وَمَا بَلَغُوا مِعْشَارَ مَا آتَيْنَاهُمْ فَكَذَّبُوا بِرُسُلِي, that these people, meaning the mushrikeen of Makkah, they are such that وَمَا بَلَغُوا مِعْشَارَ, they have not even reached a tenth of what مَا آتَيْنَاهُمْ, that we had given them, meaning the nations of the past. فَكَذَّبُوا رُسُلِي, and they reject, yet they reject. فَكَيْفَ كَانَ النَّكِيرُ, how will my retribution be? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that the mushrikeen of Makkah, they regarded their wealth and their honor as a source of pride. And they would use that to justify their opposition to Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala sallam, whom they regard to be an ordinary person. To that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala admonishing them that this pride that they have themselves for their wealth and for themselves and their wealth, that will not save them at all from the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because in comparison to the nations that came before them, what they possess is not even a mi'shar. Mi'shar means a tenth. It is not even a tenth of what the nations of the past had. The mushrikeen and the Quraysh, they had wealth, but they had also lost a lot of their wealth in the various battles against the Muslims. And then later on they tried to regain that. But they regarded themselves to be, and as we did in the previous tafsir as well, that because the followers of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam at that time were just a handful, and because they were few in number, so because of that they would regard themselves as we are وَمَا أَمْوَالُكُمْ وَلَا أَوْلَادُكُمْ بِالَّتِي تُقَرِّبُكُمْ إِنَّنَا زُلْفَى. They thought to themselves that we are better, and that he is somebody who only the low caste and the low people, low status people are those who are following him. So there is no speciality in him, and we are much better than him. So this pride and wealth of theirs became a means of arrogance. And this is what pride does. One of the effects of pride is, and this is what the definition of pride is, that batarul haq wa ghamtun nas. What is pride? Batarul haq wa ghamtun nas. Batarul haq means to reject the truth. To reject the truth. And ghamtun nas means to belittle people, to look down at people. This is what the definition of pride is. That a person who has pride finds it difficult to accept the truth. This is what batarul haq is. Because when a person is already on a certain thought or a certain form of belief, ideology, then that person will regard that ideology, that thought, that religion, that belief to be absolute, and that is the correct thing to be on. Now when you tell that person that what you're doing is wrong, that what we are worshipping is incorrect, how can you be worshipping XYZ when there is evidence and proof that look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who should be worshipped. Which means what? It means that all my life till now, what we have been doing is being wrong. That we've been worshipping wrong, we're doing wrong all our lives. And now for that person to accept that and make a change is accepting the fact that we were wrong up till now. And for a person to accept that they were wrong up till now is very difficult. It's very difficult for a person to swallow the fact that look, we were wrong and now we've made a change. And this is due to, and this is down to pride, nothing more but pride, arrogance and pride. And that person who has humility, the haqq and the truth comes to them. They realize that look, they made a mistake and made an error. They're always willing to change it. One great quality from our akabirin is as well, and this is one point, one message, and an example I give, especially when we have certain meetings and we have programs on the topic of moon sighting, where certain masajid who want to change away from the dodgy and dubious Saudi following. So one of the points that they have is that this was a decision made in 1983, 86 or so, when they were scholars at that time, and it was something that people had agreed upon. So, are you saying that that was wrong? Or that was wrong? And then there is always that obstacle of wanting to change, because if we were to change, it would mean that, look, what we were doing up till now was wrong, that's why we had to change. So an example that I give is, that look, our aslaf, our kabirin, whenever they had made an error, there were two things. One is an error in a verdict or in a fatwa. They would always change that. They would always change that when they knew that they have made an error. And there would be times wherein it may not be an error, but new facts have come to light. An example is, there was a time wherein our akabirin, initially when the microphone system came out, the fatwa given at that time was that it is not allowed to use the microphone. And the reason being is that they were of that opinion that it is an echo. And there is a masla as well, that it is not permissible to follow an echo. Somebody is somewhere in a high place, in a valley, somewhere in a mountainous area, somewhere, and there's an echo. The imam could be anywhere. You just hear an echoing from where any direction. So you cannot follow that. You need to follow the actual voice of the imam. So their opinion was that the microphone system is actually an echo, that the imam's voice is hitting it and it echoes. So on that basis, they had given the verdict that, look, it is not permissible to use the microphone for salah and follow the imam with that. So that was, and they would not use it. Big, huge gathering would be there and they would not use the microphone system. But then as time went, more knowledge came about and more research was made. And that's when they understood that, no, it isn't an echo, it is the original voice. It is just amplified. So it's not an echo of the imam's voice. Yes, the echo is an effect that you can play with in that. But it is just the voice amplified, so it is the original voice of the imam that you are following. So then what happened? The verdict changed. And they said that it is allowed, it is permissible, you can use it, and now every masjid has to use it. Similarly, there was a masla with regard to if oil is entered in the ears. If you put in a state of fasting, if you throw or if you drop oil or water or something in the ears. Initially, our fuqaha, and it is still in the books, the fuqaha have given the verdict that the wuzu breaks. Because there's a channel there and the channel leads, and whatever you put in the ears will go directly down the throat. But later on, the fuqaha looked into it, and more contemporary, and when they have taken advice as well with the ear and nose and eye specialists, and from which now it is known that no, that isn't the case. There is a seal there, there is a barrier there, which prevents whatever is placed in the ears to go directly down the throat. So when that is the case, now the fatwa is, and now the ruling is, which is of recent as well, not so long ago recent, is that now if a person was to apply 8 drops, the wuzu would not, the fast would not break. So there are times when it will change because more information has come to light. And now coming to our kabirin, they change. There are occasions wherein, for example, in Imdadul Fatawa, Hazrat Hakim Umar Rahmatullah Ali had given a verdict, and then more light came to him, or more something understood, more information came to him. And Hazrat Hanwi Rahmatullah Ali has retracted that fatwa. And he hasn't done that quietly, and he hasn't done it where nobody knows of it. But in Imdadul Fatawa, what he has done is he's even actually put the one that is retracted from. So people are aware, so that it can't be a case of that the one is still going around. So both are that this was the initial fatwa, but I have retracted from that fatwa, and this is what my new fatwa is. What enabled them to take such a stance is the fact that they had humility. And if a person has pride and arrogance, then that's when a person does not want to accept the truth. They find it difficult to accept the truth on that basis, that it means now that we are acknowledging that all we did till now was false and that was wrong. Whereas let's look at the Sahaba Kiram radiallahu ta'ala. The Sahaba Kiram radiallahu ta'ala who were on false, who were on shirk and whatnot at that time. And then when they understood the truth, they came into the fold of Islam. But who talks about the past? Nobody talks about the past. Nobody goes on the past. Hey, you remember you were so many years on the wrong and then you brought Iman. Nobody even talks about it. We just talk about the Iman of the Sahaba Kiram radiallahu ta'ala anhu. But the Mushrikeen of Makkah, those who didn't, this is what their condition was. That it was because of this arrogance of theirs, that they didn't want to make that change. And the likes of Abu Lahab as well, Utbah, Shayba, so many of these leaders of the Quraysh. There were those who knew the deen was correct, it made sense to them. And they would even listen and eardrop upon the Qur'an. And they understood and they knew that these things are correct. Abdullah bin Ubay as-Sulul, the Munafiq, he himself on occasion said to Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that what you say and what you mention is the best of words. But do not do it here in public. What you say and preach in privacy, but not in public, although what you are saying is the best of words. So they acknowledge these things. But it was their pride and arrogance which prevented them and which stopped them from accepting the truth. And this is what happens. This is the definition of pride. Ghamtun nas batarul haqq. That a person who has pride will not accept the truth. And those who don't have pride, they will make a change. And the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala, they made the change, they came out of shirk and they came into Islam. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions with regard to mushrikeen that they regarded that their wealth and their honor and all these things as a source of pride. And that would justify their opposition to Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala sallam, thinking that Nabi sallam doesn't have the same honor and Nabi sallam does not have the same wealth that we have. So why should we accept? And they rejected Nabi Kareem sallallahu on that basis. Where Allah ta'ala reminds them that look, what you have is nothing at all, not even a tenth of that which was given to those before you who did the same, because they were rusuli. They also rejected the Nabi of the time. And by doing so, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed them. So when Allah ta'ala destroyed them, there is nothing at all to prevent Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or to save the mushrikeens from being punished or from them being destroyed as well. So Allah ta'ala says, فَكَيْفَ كَانَ نَكِيرٌ. How, meaning grievous will be my retribution, meaning my punishment in both worlds for such objection to Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala sallam, that especially when it comes to pride. One is that a person does not accept and they just leave it to the fact that they do not accept, and the other is that they come on to pride and they come on to arrogance. And that makes it worse for them. That is a challenge with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, due to which the adhab and the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just so much. I had recited the following verse, but we'll leave it to this. As trying to distribute it in a manner that next week will be the last tafsir before the month of Ramadan. So we are able to at least end it off on the end of the surah. So that after the month of Ramadan, life permits, circumstances permit, we can start from the new surah itself. Although that's not always possible. There's times when if the surah is long, we just stop where it is. But we do have this opportunity, so leave it so that we are able to complete it next week. Allah Ta'ala grant us all understanding. رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ وَتُبْ عَلَيْنَا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ التَّوَّابُ الرَّحِيمُ سُبْحَانَ رَبِّكَ رَبِّ الْعِزَّةِ عَمَّا يَصِفُونَ وَسَلَامٌ عَلَى الْمُرْسَلِينَ وَالْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ.